you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. This is Voss here from theChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the Iron Lady sings that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. As always, for 60 years and 2,700 episodes of bringing the Chris Voss Show and all the most amazing minds and people that we have on the show. Be sure to refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all /Chris Voss. You can always find me. No spaces, too, by the way. Maybe I should always say that. I wonder if people put spaces in my name. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. She is the author of the latest book that came out October 22nd, 2025, entitled Unlicensed Medicine, Releasing Ancestral Trauma and Unleashing the Power of Your Lineage. Today, we're going to be talking with a wonderful young lady on the show about her insights and everything that goes into it. We're going to be talking to Chahal. Did I get that right, Doc?
Chahal.
So we're going to get into with her book, her details, and all of her stuff there, and should be a pretty interesting conversation. Some of the insights of her: she's the author of the aforementioned book, and a teacher who helps people understand and heal inherited trauma. Dr. Chahal is a former psychiatry resident who quit Western medicine to focus on deep healing. Her powerful and vulnerable journey involved navigating her mother's schizophrenia and a family murder. Wow. Her insights on inherited trauma come where over 90% of our trauma isn't even ours, is deeply insightful and aligns with personal transformation. Welcome to the show, Doc. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am doing well. How are you?
I am doing excellent. If I can just start speaking correctly, that'd be great. If I can get the words right. So... give us any .coms, websites. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
My website is Dr. Meher Chahal. And my Instagram is also Dr. Sweet and Simple. Yeah.
So give us a 30,000 overview that you can on the website there.
The overview of the website?
Or I'm sorry, of the book.
Of the book. So the book is it's very, very deep. I would like to start with that. It's a personal memoir of healing from my own healing journey, of like healing from complex trauma and really, discovering the amalgamation of where Western medicine and Eastern medicine meet. And that's through what I discovered was systemic and family constellations therapy, which I am also trained in. I discovered this shortly after leaving my Western medicine training. So it talks about somatics, which is body-based healing, and systemic and family constellations therapy. With personal examples and teachings about this. So this is essentially, I feel like trauma is something which affects every sphere of your life. Like it seeps energetically into everything. So it's kind of a broad healing perspective.
Yeah. Well, we talk a lot about this a lot on the show over the years, especially with lots of doctors like yourself that have been on the show. And trauma, especially unhealed trauma from childhood, just carries through adulthood and pretty much all of your life, and unless you deal with it. Does that sound like your findings as well with trauma?
Yes, but I would like to go way deeper than that. What I have discovered it's so much more than like, because my mom was like that, so I'm like this. Oh, because that happened to me, so I'm like this. When you really start delving into like epigenetics scientifically side, as well as the psychological ancestral side, you will see these like dynamics and patterns repeat in all kind of up the lineage. Like, the kind of relationship that I have with my mom, she mirrored with her mom, and my grandmother mirrored with her this thing. So it's like, it's so much deeper than just my life. It's a ripple effect of like this ancestral, trauma, essentially, till like somebody really wakes up and you know tries to like break the pattern and stop the pattern.
Yeah. Now, tell us a little bit about your life and your upbringing, what got you into psychology or some of these different healing modalities. Give us some of that story, because I think people definitely want to hear it.
Yeah, so I went to medical school. I represent the stereotypical Indian kid who can be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. Unfortunately, I was really good academically, so I only had the doctor option.
Ah,
I went to medical school in India, and I really did not like any other Western medicine branch. And I was obviously very drawn to psychiatry because of my mom and really figuring it out, my own personal mental health challenges and how like psychiatry helped with that. So that's what kind of got me into pursuing like psychiatry residency. And then when I kind of got there, I really like realized that, wow, it's like, don't judge the book by its cover. And it's so like, it doesn't even come to the root of the problem. There's so much of like just numbing and like boxing people into a label or diagnoses, and just it's like a systemic level problem. And and for me personally, depth is a really big driving force. Like, it gives me a sense of like purpose, and I just kind of saw it as like this revolving door, and like just adding like another diagnosis, another medication. So I was deeply unfulfilled with the truly like Western part of it. That's what got me to leave it. And then I, synchronistically discovered this lady, my mentor, who is trained in systemic and family constellations. She actually used to be a pharmacist, and she had a near-death experience, and then she transitions to family constellations. So then I started like, first I was her client, and then I trained with her, and I was just like blown away by by it. And for the first 6 months, she would send me like research papers or like, the workings and the mechanisms behind it. And I was like, I don't care. I have intellectualized my feelings all my life. I don't want to read the science behind it. It's working, and that's all that matters. I don't want my brain to like go into this. So like for the first 6 months, I didn't even want to like read the literature, because I saw so many like quick shifts in my life with it. So that's how I kind of discovered this. And just to give a little bit of background on like family and systemic constellations and what the origin of that was. So the father of family constellation is Bert Hellinger. He was a German psychotherapist. He was a Catholic priest, and he fought in World War II. And from war and stuff, he had like PTSD and a lot of trauma. So he kind of went on his own healing journey and went to actually Africa, where he met this tribe called Zulu tribe. He stayed with them for like months and months. And first, they really helped him heal. And they introduced this ancestral healing modality to him. And then they trained him in it. And he was like, why am I not incorporating this into my traditional therapy practice? And that's when he like brought it back with him to Germany and started doing this. And, like I found it really, really amazing how he would he would really try to find equilibrium and balance and restore order, which is a really big part of like the healing of constellations. And he actually bought Hitler's house after he passed away. And he would, he would actually have Nazi soldiers and victims of like, of Jews who were like, of these crimes, and he would try to like really bring peace and healing towards this at Hitler's home and hold these like workshops there. So I was just like, I just thought it was so futuristic and amazing. Really, like, the kind of results you get in therapy from like 10-15 years, you get it without like talking in like a session. And this is not just me preaching or like selling the latest, oh my God, I found the solution to everybody's problem, but this is a common narrative that like other women that I met at workshops also shared, that like, oh my God, this is like worth 10 years of therapy. That was such a common sentence that I would keep hearing.
Well, therapy is therapy. And, dealing with these issues, addressing them, cleaning them out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I've heard of generational trauma. Is ancestral trauma similar? Do they have different definitions, as it were?
I think generational would encompass ancestral. Ancestral would be a more like a part of generational, because of course, like, the boomers experienced a certain kind of like world events and trauma, and then like, Gen X did, and then like, millennials did, and then Gen Z. So that I would encompass as generational trauma. And when you really take your family lineage into this thing, that makes it more ancestral.
More ancestral. So you talk in the book about different things like being a cycle breaker for your lineage. Talk to us about some of the effects and some of the things on here. I see there's some good news and some warnings about being the cycle breaker.
Well, I would say, the first step of healing or making any kind of change in your life is like an increase in consciousness and awareness to even like realize that there's an issue or a problem which needs to be changed. So that's the first step. Like if you can't see that something is broken, you wouldn't even go down the path of trying to understand and heal it. So, I would say that, I think the pain of it got so much that it really pushed me to seek this modality as a healing. Yeah.
Yeah. Describe this pain for us, because there may be people in the audience that they're going through the same thing, and maybe they haven't identified it as a pain, or maybe they're in pain and they don't know what it is or why it is. What was that like for you, and how would you describe it?
I really thought, like, how we started speaking on the show, that it was very much like, oh, childhood trauma, like my mom has schizophrenia, and, I deal from the, kind of classical symptoms of like neglect and, overachieving and perfectionism. Like it was very like X equals to Y, and very cross-sectional. And when I really started doing constellation sessions, I started realizing how damn deep this runs, and how these patterns were like present in like women before my mom and like her mom's mom. And so it goes like almost 7 generations back. So it really broadens that. And I would say that if there is a, like you said, for people in the audience, if they're like struggling with something, if there is like a particular pattern that you're just not able to break through, or a particular kind of like, I don't want to call it like a curse, but there's a level of a block or a stuckness that no matter how hard you try, or how many sessions of therapy you get, or how much you talk it out, it just doesn't go away. I would say that probably there's something there which is much larger than yourself and much deeper and goes way back in the line than just yours. If you could really like broaden the lens and kind of see it from that perspective.
Broaden the lens, see it from that perspective and stuff. Now, with the doing the unlicensed medicine with helping release the trauma, you studied like scientific medicine, all that sort of good stuff. Why do you feel that this works for you and your clients and other people better than maybe traditional medicine? What's the difference in betterment, good, bad, and evil, I guess, or whatever here?
I still do respect psychiatry, so I wouldn't want to.
No.
I think that there is a time and place for everything. And one of my therapists used to always tell me, Meher, like life is not or, it's and. I really resonate with that. I think there is a time and a place for medication. Like, if somebody's acutely suicidal or somebody's going through withdrawal, of course, sure, like psychiatry is like life-saving. But when it really comes to like going down the root of the problem and really eradicating that, I don't think that Western medicine comes anywhere close to it, especially because. And it's not like a doctor problem because most of my colleagues were very nice. My attendings were very nice. It's not them that they don't have empathy or skills or intelligence. It's the system. It's like you have to practice medicine by what DSM, which is like the Bible of psychiatry. Like, you have to somehow fit the diagnoses into that box. And, you can't just, if somebody comes to you, can't just discharge them without a diagnosis. So the system benefits of billing and then insurance and then pharma companies, there's like so much like complexity involved in it. So it's like a systemic problem and not so much of a doctor is not good to patient problem. And it doesn't even scratch the surface. And I feel like I was not making any genuine difference. I just felt this like sense of like frustration that, oh my God, we just discharged you from the psych ward like on Monday and he's back like 48 hours later. And like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just increasing the medicine by like 50 milligrams. Like, is this going to be the rest of my damn life? Like this is not helping anybody. And Chris, if I'm being really, really honest, it was still like,
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh over this, but it's funny.
It's really sad. And the reality is that I'm really blessed that I came from like privilege where my family was supportive and I could leave. And in India, the medical system is a bit different. We don't take student loans to go to medical school because it's like much cheaper and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in America, like I've had like colleagues and batchmates who are in $300,000, $500,000 debt, and they can't like just wake up one fine day and be like, I want to leave residency because this is a bunch of baloney. So they have to like, go on with that. Yeah. So there are like so many like multiple factors. And more than the adult part, I think where I really felt like, oh my God, this is bad karma. Was the children part where I was like, oh my God, I am using my hands to diagnose this little 6-year-old with oppositional defiant disorder, ADHD, intermittent explosive disorder, all because that damn kid didn't want to go to school on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I was like, I am ready to like sit in an Uber and take the kid to school and stand outside. I think that would like help the kid more than me slapping on one more diagnosis. So it was really the kid's part, which was really like, man, this is unethical. The kid has not even started living their life. And I'm already diagnosing a 13, 14-year-old with like schizophrenia and bipolar. Like, I don't believe in this. You've already created a medical file this thick and the person hasn't even faced the real world yet. Like they're not even 18 yet. And I just, I'm spiritual. I do believe in karma. And I was like, this is not good karma. So yeah, those were just some of the reasons why I was like really unhappy with like with Western medicine. And like I said, it can be life-saving if you're like suicidal or you're very depressed or you're going through withdrawal. I don't think that there is no place for it. I think there is, you need to use personal discernment. But as far as like a root level problem, yeah, I think that there is something deeper there, something so much more deeper.
Yeah, a lot more deeper, as it were. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting what you offer here and what you talk about. You know, some of the, you know, were most of those clients that you talked about, were they in India or were they in America?
They were in America. In America, I was in Brooklyn, so they were over there, and it has a very, very busy psyche.
Now, why do they call it shadow work?
It is shadow work because it is all the uncomfortable, kind of more taboo or undesirable parts that you don't want to look at. I remember I had a teacher once, and she called the shadow your shame cage. You know,
Your shame
things that
cage.
you know, things which are you don't want to take a look at, and you don't want to deal with, so you kind of like play sweep under the rug. You hide the skeletons in the closet till one day, you know, you can't like ignore it till it gets, what you repress has to come out in like uglier ways sooner or later. Like Freud said that. And the word shadow was really, like Carl Jung really spoke about that. You know, that each of us carries a shadow, and the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. So, you know, that's what really drew me into this. And I think I'm really like attracted to that kind of work.
Oh, wow. So you basically help people with this. Now, I don't know if you want to promote any of the stuff on your website, but you help people with some of the issues they might have, what we've talked about here. And do you want to promote any of that so that people can check that out if they need help, they are hearing the broadcast?
Yes. So I think the only reason I'm not actively promoting it is because I'm in a transition. I'm actually moving back to India, to Mumbai. There's a lot of like transition happening in my life. That's why I'm like avoiding like any kind of work commitment. But if anybody wants to like reach out to me personally, all my details are on my website, and they are more than welcome to email me, book a session with me. I think it's pretty up and running. So yeah.
And what's the website again so people can find it?
drmeherchahal.com.
So give us your final pitch out to people to order up your book, contact your website, and all that good stuff as we go out.
Yes, if you've been feeling like you've been on your healing journey for a long time, or you're just starting it, or you're really frustrated that you've tried every damn thing from like plant medicine to like 6 different psych meds to like, I don't know, you know, everything, and nothing seems to be working. I would say there's no harm or side effect in trying constellations. And there are a lot of constellation practitioners all over the world. It's actually practiced all over the globe. It's just not as mainstream. And I think that was kind of my intention to, you know, like when something is so powerful, why is this not being like promoted? So that is kind of like my intention with it. Try it out. You have like nothing to lose, and you might just be super surprised at what you may find, which may come through in your lineage or your ancestors. And, you know, so constellations is for me, it is a perfect representation of spirituality and science. It's so epigenetic, and it's also so spiritual and soul level. And when you heal, you know, you essentially are healing for your lineage and your ancestors. You know, your ancestors, you have the opportunities that your ancestors prayed for. And when you really heal that connection with your ancestors, you're able to receive a lot of life force energy from them. Those blockages or those entanglements or those severances from family and ancestors, once you're able to kind of remove that through constellations, you get so much more blessing and love.
Oh, wow.
and just energy from your lineage. And you need that for so many things, whether it's your creative baby, your project, your business, money, so many things. So it's truly very practical and also materialistic, but also very spiritual. So it really satisfies my both left and right brain. So I would say that, like, check out my book, Unlicensed Medicine. It's in, I think, Barnes and Nobles. It's on Amazon. It's on Kindle. And then there's my website if you're interested in like booking a one-on-one session. Yeah, that's what I would suggest.
All right. Sounds good then. Well, it's been wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you for coming on, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places on the internet. You can order up our book wherever fine books are sold. It's called Unlicensed Medicine, Releasing Ancestral Trauma and Unleashing the Power of Your Lineage, out October 22nd, 2025. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right, great show.